Imagine you are in a class and the teacher asks a student to come and give a speech. If he or she isn't ready, notice how their body language portrays a lack of confidence. It's because the student simply wasn't prepared to give a speech. The president and CEO of the energy project, Tony Schwartz, says the best way to build confidence in a given area is to invest energy in it and work hard at it. In other words, practice. Today I'm going to show you how the right type of preparation or practice could greatly increase your confidence. To do that, let's look at an interesting story which happened thousands of years ago. The story of David and Goliath. One day, Goliath, a giant, challenged the army of Israel. He called for the best soldier of the Israelites to come and fight with him. If the Israeli soldier beats him, the Philistines will become slaves to the Israelites. If Goliath beats the soldier, the Israelites become slaves to the Philistines. As a result, every soldier, including the king of Israel, was hesitant to fight with Goliath. Their families were at stake, and Goliath was simply too huge. But eventually, David, who was still a youth, came to drop food for his brothers in the army. On that same day, Goliath began shouting his challenge to the Israelite army. When David heard the giant, he asked, "Why doesn't somebody take up the challenge?" His brothers laughed and mocked at him. But David was so persistent, he was brought before the king and he asked the king the same question. The king simply gave him an excuse. Now notice this. David began sharing his stories with King Saul. He told him of the time a lion took one of his sheep and how he killed the lion using only his hands. A bear did the same thing and he also killed the bear. Saul was convinced upon hearing this, so David was allowed to fight the giant. His weapon of choice, a mere sling and stone. The question is, why did David have so much confidence? After all, Goliath was a giant versed in war. David was a youth, not trained to fight, at least not in combat. Well, here's the simple answer. David was actually prepared for this moment. Can you prepare for your moment? I'm sure you can. Anybody could prepare mentally, physically, or both. Let's get practical. What if you have to give a speech tomorrow? How can you be confident? Focus on what you want to say from your heart. This will cause your audience to connect with you. Let your inner feelings infiltrate your words. The point? Prepare based on what you know will boost your confidence. In David's case, he believed that if he could fight a lion, he could also fight a giant. In your case, if connecting with your audience will boost your confidence, prepare to do just that. And remember, practice. If you want your audience to laugh because you are more confident being funny, the same principle applies. Get your jokes ready. Forget about whether or not you're usually funny. Of course, you aren't always going to be funny, but tomorrow, on that stage, you will be. One more thing you could do when preparing is to have a backup plan, but you don't always need one, depending on how confident you are in your preparations. Your mentality is another thing to pay attention to when preparing. We must be mentally prepared. How? We must crush our limiting beliefs. That's what I'm going to discuss in the next video. So stay tuned. Subscribe and turn on your notifications.